How's everyone feeling? It's not day 2, it is always. All right, so we're gonna for the rest of this afternoon, we are going to show up like it is day 1, and we're gonna interview and ask to come out to the stage one of the most brilliant real estate execs I have ever met, Mr. Chris Stuart. Come on out. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Well, I don't call you Chris. I call you.
You're the Chris.
Yeah,
I'm
gonna call you Stu, like I normally do today. Stu, you have had a long history. You wouldn't know it by how you look, but you've had a very long history in the real estate industry, and one of the most successful. But I think also one of the most humble and understated, and not sort of loud and in front and out and showing everybody who you are. So today I just want to get to know you a little bit. Maybe just share a quick sketch of your journey in the industry. Where'd you come from? What'd you do? And then we'll get up to speed.
Yeah, you bet. So it's great to be here. Obviously, I love the energy. I know we're winding down on day 2, so try to keep this upbeat. So I actually, very fortunately, right out of college in the mid-90s, I was fortunate enough to go right into enterprise technology, systems integration. I worked in New York City, then transferred out to Silicon Valley. I worked at Oracle Corporation for many, many years, and at that time, helped some of the biggest companies in the world with business transformation projects, technology transformation projects. And that was great. And then in 2003, I joined up with a team of guys, and we started a mortgage company. And it was all about scale, consumer direct, really, really cranking deals. Our second full year in business, we did $6 billion in origination.
Wow.
And then sold that company, and in 2009, early 9, late 8 time frame, took a chance to join a buddy of mine who's become a great friend and mentor, Gino Blafari, who a few years earlier had started a real estate brokerage, traditional real estate brokerage in Silicon Valley, Northern California there, where I was at Oracle, prior to that. And together with a team, we built that up into the 7th largest real estate brokerage in the United States. That got Berkshire Hathaway's attention. We sold to Berkshire Hathaway, and Gino and I went over to run the real estate group for the mothership, as it were, the parent company. And that was 2014, held a number of different roles, including the CEO role for the global real estate franchise group for Berkshire. And then you and Ben presented an awesome opportunity, and 15 months ago, I joined PLACE as the president. So that's a quick flyby.
Yeah. I will say that, our industry has a lot of noise, our businesses have a lot of noise, there's a lot going on. And you have a gift for sort of cutting through that noise, figuring things out, laying it out in a real simple way. How do you do that? Like, how do you approach challenges and problems? And you've had plenty of challenges in growing any of those organizations.
Yeah, I think, a lot of that ability that I've developed over the years, Chris, is I credit a lot of it to approaching every single day with really a servant mindset. I operate every single day in the contribution of others. And, when I think about the noise that surrounds a lot of decisions in business, the most fundamental thing is to separate how we feel from what we believe. And to operate as business owners with a tremendous amount of honesty and candor, and to get to the problem that we're trying to solve. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Separate the feelings from the belief, and then just be very honest with, okay, what is the best path in the spirit of what's in the best interest of the other person on the other side of this decision, and just try to always operate that way. And I'll give you a perfect example, and maybe we'll talk about this when I got to Berkshire. When I got to Berkshire, there was a franchise sales team. They weren't doing that good. And the problem we were trying to solve was growth. So the first element of being honest was, well, what are you guys selling, guys and gals? What are y'all selling? I was selling the brand. We don't have a brand. The company just launched 2 years ago. No one knows it. right? So, but a willingness for an executive to come into the room and be honest and kind of strip the problem down to its bare reality, then you unpack, repack, and go, okay, then what are we selling, right? And then you build a good value proposition. So it's just really a function of, well, what is the problem? Eliminate the feeling from the belief, like I believe we can do this, and then just operate in the spirit of service of the others.
What do you think are the feelings that get in the way then? Can you think of something?
Oh gosh, so many. People's ego, agenda, money, so many different things, like how many people in that particular example, how many people had been in that organization and put their thumbprint on the brand? Well, it's a wonderful company, of course. And of course, Mr. Buffett has a wonderful brand and Berkshire Hathaway has a wonderful brand. But none of that matriculated into the hands of a real estate agent that needed to go sell property. So, you just kind of have to do that. Of course, I'm speaking very curtly right now. I probably didn't present this that same way in that room that day, right? So you have to be.
Yeah, because you were there for a while. So
yeah, so you got to be.
Didn't.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't kick me out. But yeah, so I think you just have to be, realistic about, whether it's an agenda or people's income or what they're trying to get out of it, and just try to be diplomatic about how you go about finding the solution and path forward.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question about that, and then we're going to transition and really focus on what you did there, which was growth, which matters to all of us so much. But you did work at one of the most well-respected, well-run companies in the world. Can you think of maybe something you learned there that you could share with us?
Yeah, obviously coming from two entrepreneurial roles and environments prior to landing in Berkshire in 2014, I was struck by the discipline of the organization. It's a really, really super disciplined organization. Every single CEO, of which I was obviously one, in the family of companies has to operate off of a 10-year plan. Think about trying to plan your business for the next 10 years. And with certain thresholds of variance, every single year you submit your new business plan for the following year. If it is outside of a range of variance of that 10-year plan, you've got to present some really, really deep and deeply prepared and well thought out plans as to why you're varying the course, why you're changing course from what you said you're going to do over the next 10 years. And everything was anchored on net income, right? So every single thing that you did was really backed into growth in net income. Every single year, the par is 10 or 15 or 20% growth of last year's net income. And so, operating with that level of diligence and planning and thought. And then the other item was every single year, your budget had to be prepared by August. Wow. So I know, for many of the people in the room, you might start working on your business plans in October or November, the best of you.
You're being generous.
Yeah, I know. And many of you probably don't get to it until, I don't know, maybe after New Year's Day. I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
I'm not kidding then. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
So, one, I think that is wildly valuable for us to take some notes on. The fact is most of us walk around like incredible entrepreneurs, and you were as well. Like, you were wildly entrepreneurial. You grew incredible companies. You sold them. You had exits. That's entrepreneurial. And then you walked into Berkshire Hathaway and said, wow, I could learn a thing or two. And they are a legacy business. Many of us want legacy businesses. And they built this 10-year plan, projections, variances, responses, right? Accountability. That is why they have a legacy business.
That's it. That's it right there. Yeah, and there's no emotion.
Yeah.
There's no, there's not a lot of feelings at our board meetings at Berkshire. A lot of feelings, you know what I mean?
Well,
you better know what you believe, and you better understand the business decisions that you're making, the expenses that you're, putting out there, and you better have firm conviction in your belief as to what that's going to do to the company's performance.
Yeah, that's probably a more professional way of saying what I often say to my team, that data trumps drama, right? Like, yeah. If I have data around something, it's going to eliminate all drama real quick.
Yeah, because the data, if you know how to interpret it, gives you the belief. Yeah. And then you don't have to operate on feeling.
So that plan, right, and that way of running a business led you to growing Berkshire Hathaway Home Services from about 25,000 agents when you got there to 50,000 agents when you left. You doubled, and doubled wouldn't be big if it was 100 agents to 2 or 2 to 4. Like, you went from 25,000 to 50,000. And I would say at the moment when you showed up, you didn't have a whole lot to work with. So what did you do? And think about our audience, but how did you unpackage and jump in and begin that journey of growth?
Yeah. You know, one of the things of the many lessons that I took away from my time in Silicon Valley in the 90s, and I saw the dot-com boom and bust and the Y2K, man, I was front row seat for all of that right in Silicon Valley, as many of you probably were that were in tech at that time. Developed a saying back then that described a lot of the companies, particularly the dot-coms. They were companies that had solutions in search of problems that didn't exist. And so the first thing you want to figure out is, and this is another saying that has always stuck with me from the dean of the Stanford Business School. He said, all companies must compete for both a positional advantage and a capabilities advantage. It's not enough that McDonald's or Starbucks or Home Depot have locations on every street corner in all the big cities if they don't continue to develop capabilities advantages that underscore their positional advantage. So for McDonald's, a drive-through window, a healthy menu. For Home Depot, financing. Instead of do it yourself, we do it for you. Contracting, come in and do the whole kitchen, right? So we should always be thinking about what is our value, what problems are we trying to solve, and how are we trying to present our value to our customers on both a positional basis and a capabilities basis. I'd be willing to bet that 95% of you, in some form of your marketing or communication to your customers, say that you're number one. The whole damn industry of real estate says it's number one. It's the most obnoxious thing. It really is. It's the most obnoxious thing. So guess what? Real estate buyers and sellers and investors and renters have antibodies to our perceived positional advantage. Because we're all saying we're number one. So buyers and sellers go, I don't know. Who's number one? What does number one even mean? That's why 8 out of 10 buyers and sellers only ever meet with a single agent. They're like nauseous for the selection, right? And nothing matters until you make it matter. So if you're a great negotiator, but your buyers or your sellers don't understand that, and you haven't demonstrated how you negotiate or how you prepare yourself to negotiate or what benefits your skill in negotiation have actually materialized for your buyers and sellers, guess what? Doesn't matter. So job number one at Berkshire, as I mentioned earlier, was stripping down what is our positional and our capabilities advantages. Well, guess what? As you all would probably agree, pretty much universally in the real estate business, franchises are sold like Starbucks coffees. There's one on every corner. Well, the beautiful thing that I inherited when we got there was we didn't have one on every corner. So immediately I said, well, if brand isn't our strength today, because it wasn't then in 2014, the brand just launched like 15 months earlier, it wasn't a household name, still isn't a household name. So I encouraged our team, let's just put that aside. It's not brand, guys. We're not buying a halftime commercial at the Super Bowl, okay? It's not brand. Here's our positional advantage. We don't have a location in every single corner. We have some wide open, big territories, and guess who's attracted to that? Big operators, people that are inside of other franchise brands where that franchisor has stacked other franchisees right on top of them, cannibalize their value proposition to attract agents and customers. That's our positional advantage. The fact that we weren't on every corner. So what's our capabilities advantage? Myself and Gino, we're operators. We know how to operate. So if I can find the right brokers who are aligned in my vision and values and how to operate a real estate brokerage, I can take advantage of the fact that I have this white space, these areas of opportunity, sell them those franchises, and then help them build big, great, valuable companies. So then it's about scale. It's about scale then. Here's the crazy thing. When I got there, there were 12 franchise salespeople. They couldn't close a spring-loaded door. I said, man, unbelievable. There we had been selling Intero Real Estate Services. Nobody knew what Intero Real Estate Services was. We had sold like 100 franchises in 3 years. No caps. We didn't have a cap model. Traditional split, traditional franchise royalty. Everything was traditional. No rev share, none of that stuff, right? And I go in there and man, I'm like, man, what is this? 3 bald tires and a flat. All right.
Did you get that one from Warren Buffett or?
Yeah,
okay.
I gave that one to Charlie Munger.
Okay.
So scale. All right, so here's what we say. I get in there, I start selling franchises myself. I got on the phone, picked up the phone, started calling people. I was challenging my thesis of my positional and capabilities advantage. That's what I was doing, and it resonated. So immediately I knew. So I had 12 people, 3 bald tires and a flat, and the budget was to hire 6 more to 18. They want 18 franchise salespeople. There wasn't one that could sell anything. I said, no. So we took the quota for the franchise salesperson from 250,000, which none of them could hit, and I said, you know what? I'm going to build a new comp plan for the franchise salespeople. Instead of 250 annual quota, I'm going to bump it to $1 million, and I'm going to top grade the talent. So I took a budget of 18 with their comp plan for selling the franchises, right? And I reverse engineered and said, if I had 6 or 7 killers, could I pay them, the 6 of them, what I was going to pay the 18? Make sense?
Yep.
So I quadrupled the quota, increased the commission payout accordingly, revamped the value proposition in the sales process, and with 6 people, Michael Perna, with 6 franchise salespeople in the next 2 years, we outsold the previous franchise sales team by like 10x. All of my franchise salespeople hit $1 million. I didn't have one of the 12 that could hit 250. Then it was just about organizational alignment. So it was very simple. Going back to the days when we built the brokerage company, basically out of the ashes of the Great Recession, we operationalized all of our growth around the 4 disciplines of execution. And if you haven't read that book, you should. But if you have, you should probably go back and imagine how you could operationalize your business plan in 23 around the 4 disciplines. Number 1 discipline, focus on your wildly important goals. And you can't have more than 3 goals. 3 is the max for your 23 business plan. Ours was growing our net income. We only had 1 goal, growing our net income. Number 2, act on the lead measures. We didn't really care how many deals we signed each month in terms of new franchises. All we focused on every single week was new appointments, new conversations, new presentations, new people coming into our franchise sales orientation. For you, most of you, if you're building a team, all you want to focus on every week is how many new people in my market am I talking to? I don't care that you have to talk to some agents 50 times before you hire them. How many new first conversations are you having? How many new opportunities to present an opportunity on your team are you having? Those are lead measures. Don't worry about your results. Focus on the lead measures. Discipline number 3, create a compelling scoreboard. If you can't visualize your success in about 30 seconds, you're just not really focused. You don't have clarity. Number 4, create a cadence of accountability. If you're not operating in an environment of accountability where at least one other person, and preferably multiple people, understand what your goals are and can collaborate with you and make you feel like you're not on an island, because none of us are on an island. If you feel like you're on an island with any of your business objectives, you just don't have the right team yet. And that's a big thing. You got to build a great team around you. So those are the 4 disciplines of execution. That was really it. Value prop, sales process, organizational alignment.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Chris. We talked about positional advantage, our capabilities. I can take that framework and apply that to how am I going to go to the market with my services, right? To a buyer, to a seller, to an investor. I can go and look at how am I going to take that to market to an agent, right? To build this team. Why do you believe that right now more than ever it is important for us to focus on, if we are going to go out and build the team, focus on agent count and agent recruiting and attraction and development? Why is that so important? Why is the agent more important today than ever before?
Yeah, I just think that, we continue to see that more and more of the industry's production will be concentrated around fewer and fewer top producers. And if you question that, just look at the concentration of how much production the top 1.5% of agents and teams are doing. If you look at the America's Best and the 1,000 that the Real Trends and Tom Ferry put out, and you reverse engineer the production, those 1.5% of agents and teams touch one side or the other of 62% of the U.S. real estate volume. 1.5% touch 62% on one side or the other of the real estate transaction volume. So if you're an individual solo agent, you need to be thinking about, who am I going to be competing against in the future? Because it's not going to be another solo individual agent, most probably. It's going to be a team of people. And with a team, you bring diversity of skill set, diversity of talent, diversity of thought, diversity of idea, diversity of execution. So the diversity of these teams and platforms that you solo agents are going to be competing against in the future will be much more harder to compete against, because you're going to have to be a great presenter, a great lead generator, a great negotiator, a great data analysis person, right? You're going to have to do all of these skills as a solo agent better and better and better, because the size of the teams that you're competing against are going to become more diversified and more skilled. So if I'm an individual agent or a team lead, that's what I'm thinking about. How do I develop a business, an enterprise that represents diversity and alignment of thought, execution, operationalization, that can go and compete as a unit against, the other teams and the other people? But it's going to take size, because every industry consolidates. Every single, where there's airlines, hospitality, insurance, it doesn't matter. We are in that phase right now, and you got to assemble armies.
Yeah. I believe we're in that moment where we need to run towards where we were going. We may have been walking there. It is time to run.